Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. November 23rd, Sujo John. It's been about 2 decades since Sujo and his wife Mary left Calcutta and moved to New York City. In 2008, Sujo started I Am Second, a Dallas-based nonprofit experiment. His question was, what would happen if he cast a vision of a life lived for something greater than himself? To answer that, his group started by telling 20 short film stories about real people who had adopted a vision of life lived for something greater, even though they had gone through life-shattering events. By 2020, Sujo offered more than 130 films, stories told by actors, athletes, musicians, business leaders, addicts, and survivors, plus written content and even free access to coaches to help people embrace the mindset. The content has been viewed more than 120 million times by people in more than 230 countries and territories. It helps a lot of people. When Sujo and Mary first left Calcutta and moved to New York City, both he and Mary were able to get good jobs. But it was 2001, and their offices were in the World Trade Center. Here's what happened.
Eternity poses one question with only 2 answers. On September 11th, 2001, sitting at his desk on the 81st floor of the World Trade Center, Sujo John was lost in thought. He was struggling with the reality that as a Christian, he wasn't sharing the gospel with others. He didn't know what to do. What was God's purpose in his life? Those questions would have to wait. He got up and he headed to the fax machine. Then the world around him suddenly exploded, and the concussion knocked him down. The air filled with smoke, dust, and office debris. Shattered glass pelted him. Sujo stood, and the entire building tilted. Through the windows, he could see the fireballs shooting out from the floors above him. Fires broke out all around him, and jet fuel from the upper floors seemed to feed the fires. In a panic, Sujo fought his way through the chaos. What was once his office was now completely destroyed. He had to get his coworkers, get down to the exit. He had to get out. The stairwell was already packed with office workers from the floors above the 84th floor. It was slow going as the office workers flattened against the wall to make room for the first responders heading up to the higher floors. Sujo wondered if these firefighters and medical teams would ever come back down. It took 50 minutes for Sujo to reach the ground floor, and he rushed to the main entrance. He had to get to the South Tower to find his wife Mary and their unborn child. But outside, the situation was worse. The air, thick with soot and dust, made it hard to see where he was going. Then, out of nowhere, another explosion rocked the ground. Right in front of him, the South Tower started to collapse. Turning back, Sujo joined a group of about 15 or 20 people, but nobody knew which way to go or what to do. Standing there, Sujo's heart was filled with a burning question. Did these people know about Jesus? Anxiety for them, for their eternal well-being, overcame him, and he started to yell, "Call upon the name of the Lord, and you will be saved." Even though he was hollering in his own voice, Sujo felt the assurance of the Holy Spirit speaking to each person there on the crumbling plaza. The entire group of men and women of many different faiths, and perhaps some with no faith at all, joined Sujo and cried out to Jesus, "Save me." As the South Tower continued to fall, the soot and ash made it almost impossible to see. Falling debris piled all around, and somehow Sujo lost touch with the group. He couldn't see them. He had lost his sense of direction. He was desperately trying to locate them, when suddenly the world around him erupted. The North Tower was collapsing. Climbing over and around the rubble, he finally found them. They were all lying dead in the debris, right in the spot where moments before they had called on Jesus to save them. In that moment, Sujo cried out, "Jesus, they just called upon your name. Why didn't they make it? What happened to them?" Sujo stood there all alone, and the thought that he would soon join them overwhelmed him. There seemed to be no way out. Then, in the chaos, Sujo heard a still, calming voice. "Son, they made their peace with me in their dying moments. They are resting with me in glory." Just then, through the dust and smoke, Sujo saw a blinking red light. He crawled over the rubble and kept his eyes fixed on the red light. When he got to the street, there was nothing but a tangled wreck of vehicles. At the bottom was a crushed ambulance with one blinking red light shining directly in his face. Sujo later said, "I know that God placed that light there to lead me out of ground zero." Later, Sujo found out that his wife Mary was also spared. She had been late to work that morning and had never made it to her job in the South Tower. We are not promised tomorrow, and on your last day, you will have to answer the question, who did you give your life to? In John's Gospel, chapter 11, verses 25 and 26, Jesus said this, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this?
Thank you for listening to today's story. Every day of the year, our hope is to inspire you with real-life stories of faithful men who have gone before us. We are excited to announce that every 365 story is now available as an ebook and is available for purchase on our website at 365christianmen.com.